We're here at the Massachusetts State House to talk about a threat to our national security. A major contributor of the United States economy is in jeopardy. They account for $24 billion of the U.S. economy and enable 90% of crops to grow in North America. This contributor may surprise you. It's the honeybee. The honeybee is the only insect that produces food eaten by humans. The species can pollinate over 75% of flowering plants and crops, making it one of the top pollinators in the United States. The bee can travel up to 6 miles a day and pollinate between 50 to 100 flowers per trip. A single hive of 50,000 bees can pollinate over 500,000 plants in a day. But bee colonies are collapsing around the world as parasites, pesticides, and habitat loss take a deadly toll. For the first time this year, a bee species in the United States was declared endangered by the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service. Beekeepers in the United States are reporting 50 to 60% losses this year. Bee losses caused farmers to come extremely close to a pollination crisis, leading to warnings about impending food insecurity. Let's consider that Albert Einstein once said that if the bees disappeared, man would only have 4 years of life left. So are you aware of the honeybee crisis that's occurring?
I am.
What are your thoughts on it?
I think that we have to do everything we can to keep the species alive.
I think they're vital to our pollination, and if we don't work on this and continue working on it, I think that we're going to have some problems down the road with agriculture, with flowers, with the blossoms of the apples and the fruit. I mean, it's detrimental to our food products.
So can you explain to us why you're here today?
Yeah, I work for a sustainable business network in Massachusetts. We put on the Boston Local Food Festival, local food trade show every year. This will be our 8th year doing the food festival, and we're one of 9 buy local organizations based in Massachusetts promoting local agriculture and local consumption.
Are you aware of the bee crisis that's occurring?
I am, yes.
What are your thoughts on it?
I would certainly like to know more about what we can do as individuals to help prevent the crisis or to mitigate, whatever the causes are of the crisis.
Yeah, we're part of the Norfolk County Beekeepers Association, and we're here delivering honey to all the legislators in support of the Pollinator Bill. The Pollinator Bill is a bill designed to eliminate neonicotinoid pesticides. Neonicotinoid pesticides are broad spectrum, which means they kill any kind of insects, so they kill pollinators too. They're systemic, which means they go through all the plant body and they're persistent. They stay in the system for a long time, in the ground and in the plants. And so after you've applied them, they stay in place and continue to kill. And so when you consider that some of the major crops in Massachusetts, apples, blueberries, cranberries, those kinds of things are all pollinated by bees, it's a legislation that really is important to push forward.
Do you think people really understand how detrimental this could be if what happened to the bees if they died?
I think a lot of people do understand and are developing a growing understanding of the importance of pollinators in general, not just honeybees, but bumblebees and all the other pollinators in our ecosystem. But I think that it's a continual effort to educate people on just how critical. I think it's 80% of the crops in the United States are pollinated by bees.
I'm here from the Mass Fairs Association to bring some awareness to some of the legislatures of what we do and with the animals and the agriculture.
Do you know anything about the bee crisis?
I do not.
Okay, well, basically, the bees are dying at a rapid rate, and they're our natural pollinators. And our nation's crops, the crops that we produce in North America, 90% of the crops that we consume are pollinated by bees. So without the bees, there's going to be a huge issue. What are your thoughts on that?
That's going to be horrible. I mean, we need the bees in order to survive, basically.
What could we do to prevent this from happening?
Again, one of the reasons we're here is to encourage legislation to eliminate one of the stresses on bees, which are the nicotinoid insecticides. There are a variety of other stresses on bees, making sure that instead of just planting a grass lawn, you make sure that the dandelions and clover are still there. That's what bees thrive on. And so planting crops, flowers, and a variety of other trees and shrubs that help pollinators thrive and produce nectar. It's a good one.
So what do you think would happen if the bees continue to die off at the rate they are dying?
It would be a shame because more farms would go out of business, and we do need farmers. You know, the average kid today, if you ask him where beef comes from, it comes from Shaw's. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Or milk or anything else. You know, they don't understand where the farmer is.
Well, a lot of it is being laid on the neonicotinoid business lately, but I was looking at a report from the state bee inspector the other day. Last year they found that there weren't any hives they detected killed from pesticides. A lot of it is from new beekeepers that don't follow through the proper procedures and things.
I'm with an organization called Conservation Law Foundation, and we run a program called the Legal Food Hub that provides free legal assistance to farmers and food businesses below an income threshold to just try and help these businesses stay alive at a time where it can be pretty difficult to do that. So we're here to meet with farmers and let people know about our program.
Wow, that's great. Could you tell us about the bee crisis, or your thoughts on the bee crisis, rather?
Sure. So bees and other pollinators are dying at an alarming rate right now, and I think a lot of people feel a little bit perplexed about exactly the reason why. There are a few different theories out there. One is that different pesticides, particularly a class of pesticides called neonicotinoids, are killing bees and other pollinators. There's another school of thought that it's fungus and mites and other kinds of things that may be unrelated to the pesticide, or it may be that the pesticide is causing bees to be more susceptible to things like fungus and mites. And so I think there's a need for continued studying of the issue in order to pinpoint exactly what's causing the threat. But in the meantime, I think there's action that we can be taking in terms of public policy to try and mitigate those risks, because bees and other pollinators are so critical to whether our food system can survive.
State legislator. I have an office in the building, and I come in every day to try to figure out what constituency groups are here and interact with them and try to give them the best possible representation they can of the kinds of things that they're interested in and the people they need to talk to. Are you here with the beekeepers today?
Yes, I am.
I'm very concerned with what's going on with the bee population and other insects and other things that are becoming extinct around the globe, some of whom we depend on for our very survival, and bees are one of them.
So can you explain to us why you're here today?
We're representing Massachusetts Beekeepers Association. I'm involved with the Norfolk County Beekeepers Association. So we're out of Norfolk County. We have our meetings in our bee school down at the Aggie. I'm sure some of your students are familiar with the Aggie. You might have some friends that go there. So we're reaching out to the politicians today. We're handing them all a jar of honey to sweeten their day and hope that they endorse the bill that Carol Dykema has out in front of the legislator, and it's to prevent, it's to help honeybees thrive in society with the chemicals that are going on in the environment.
Could you explain to us what we can or should do to help the bees?
As a regular novice person out in the general public, we encourage that you leave some water out in a bird bath filled with rocks for the bees to eat. Bees need a lot of water in their hive. We also ask that you don't use chemicals on your yard. Dandelions and clover are very important food sources for the bees. And if you have a green thumb, we'd love you to plant a pollinator garden. You can get seeds for pollinators, and that would help the bats and the hummingbirds and the honeybees. That would help the environment if you have people out there that are interested in planting a pollinator garden.
Can you tell us what you know about the importance of the honeybee?
I know that the honeybee produces great honey, and you know what? I have the honey from my dear friends in Medway, and the production is great for allergies. It's great as a sweetener. There's so many healthy properties from honey.
What are your thoughts on the honeybee crisis?
Well, we need to get it under control because it does so much for the environment, and proud to be a sponsor of Dyking this bill on the pollinators. So I have many, believe it or not, now I know you guys are from Renton.
Yep.
I actually am the representative from Franklin.
Oh, cool.
And we have a lot of farms and a lot of bee producers in the Franklin area, and I want to see them sustain their businesses and want that production of honey to be out there. So protect the bees to make it happen. And we don't need all these pesticides out there, so love to be a part of it.
Thank you so much.
Can you guess which one of our KP teachers has been a beekeeper for over 15 years?
Out of all the teachers in the school, who do you think would be a beekeeper?
Mr. Leidner.
Ms. Dugias.
I'm gonna have to go with Mr. Glubicki.
None of the above. KPTV's Mrs. Greenleaf is our resident bee whisperer. She filmed a priceless little vlog for us when she picked up 3 new bee colonies 2 weeks ago. Take it away, Jody.
I am sitting in my car right now with about 9,000 bees in my car, and they're making a most beautiful sound in the back seat. I can't wait to get them into the hive. This is a very happy day. So I'm back at the house now, and I am ready to put my new girls into their hive. I'm so excited. I have my setup right back here. I have my bee hives ready to go. I don't expect this to go perfectly smoothly, so you know, just have to keep calm. I do wear a bee suit because I'm allergic to bees. That should not deter you from doing this wonderful hobby. You just have to be careful, which I am. So here we go, getting ready to put the new girls into their homes. So the bees are in their homes. It wasn't too bad. I had a couple little snafus there, but I didn't panic. That's the most important thing, you never panic. I am pretty sure that I am being stung by a bee right now. I think it's in my pants. My bad, I didn't put my bootstraps on. So, minor problem. I'll be fine with a little Benadryl. So the girls are in, I'm gonna give them some sugar water and kiss them goodnight.
Did you know that dandelions are a very important source of food for honeybees in the early spring? It's very important not to pick the small, but not insignificant plant life. And I just sat on about 20 dandelions, so I think I did more harm than good.
If you're interested in learning more about this important hobby, stop in to see Mrs. Greenleaf anytime. She is always ready to buzz about her bees.
As you saw last week, Miss Greenleaf has been hard at work taking care of her colonies. An interesting and important hobby. Even though she is allergic, this does not stop her from doing what she loves.
Back here again, just about ready to take a look inside the hive really quick. Tonight I'm really just gonna feed them and just make sure there's lots of activity at the entrance and just check out how they're looking. Got a little sugar syrup all made up here. That's what they take for food. I was gonna show you guys a little what the actual cage looks like that the queen comes in. It's this little cage here. The queen comes inside of it with a couple of nurse bees that take care of her until we can get them installed. And the rest of the colony clusters around this cage while she's in there because they're, you know, just generally drawn to protect her and cluster around her until they feel safe. They all have their own job to do, and they're all different. Some of the bees are there to just guard the entrance and make sure nobody comes in that isn't belonging to the colony, and then there's other ones that are out there foraging for pollen and nectar. And then there's other bees that will, you know, I have a little pond in my backyard and you can see the bees that are just collecting water for the hive, and that's how they keep it cool. They bring the water in and they evaporate it using their wings to keep the hive nice and cool in the summertime. That's a pretty big job that they have to keep up with when it gets really warm. You can actually see the little pockets of pollen they're collecting. They come in all different colors from what they're finding out there. Right now it's mostly trees. If you have a pollen allergy, that you should eat the honey from a local. It has to be local. It's someone that lives as close to you as possible, because inside that honey is the pollen which you are allergic to, and that's the same concept as a vaccination. So a little of the pollen goes inside of your system and your body learns to fight it off and become immune to it. There you go, girls. Got some yummy sugar syrup now. And the beautiful weather is coming tomorrow. You're gonna be loving life. I look pretty ridiculous, don't I?